The timing of the bye week couldn't have been better. At least, that's the narrative coming from inside the Steelers' locker room. Ask around and you'll hear the same sentiment over and over again. The break was a blessing. But was it really? Or did it arrive just when Pittsburgh was finally starting to gain momentum? That's the question hanging in the air as the Steelers get ready to host the Cleveland Browns on Sunday night at Acrisure Stadium. Now, this matchup comes with a subtle but intriguing wrinkle. Just a few weeks ago, we were talking about the NFL's travel dynamics and how they can tip the scales. Well, this game is a perfect example. While the Steelers had the luxury of a bye immediately following their overseas trip, the Browns weren't as fortunate, or maybe just not as strategic. After flying back from London following their loss to the Vikings, Cleveland jumped right back into the grind without the benefit of a break. No rest, no reset, just business as usual. That might not sound like a big deal, but when you look closer, you see the toll. Minnesota spent 2 full weeks overseas and still managed to outlast the Browns, particularly on that final drive, slicing through Cleveland's defense when it mattered most. Fatigue? Maybe. A little jet lag lingering in the legs and lungs? Possibly. Either way, it's something to keep an eye on because now the Browns have to hit the road again, face a rested division rival, and try to find their rhythm under very different circumstances. From a Steelers side, the expectations are different. This isn't just about being rested. It's about proving that what happened in Dublin wasn't a fluke. There was real progress overseas. You could feel it, not just in the score, but in the way the team functioned on both sides of the ball. Things started to click. Personnel decisions made sense. The scheme had purpose. Players were communicating, executing, and for the first time this season, Pittsburgh looked like a complete football team. So the challenge now is to bottle that feeling, preserve that identity, and avoid sliding back into the disjointed mess we saw in the first few weeks of the season. Because let's be honest, yes, the Steelers were 2-1 before the trip, but those wins were far from convincing. Sloppy offense, missed tackles, confusion at the line of scrimmage. They were winning ugly, and no one in that building was truly comfortable with the direction they were heading. But Dublin changed the tone. And that's why this game against the Browns matters so much more than just a divisional battle. It's about continuing that momentum. It's about proving that this team has finally turned the corner. And that responsibility falls squarely on the coaching staff. They had extra time to dissect what went right in Ireland, and more importantly, why. This week was about making sure those lessons weren't forgotten. Monday's light practice set the tone, a way to ease the players back in while keeping the rhythm alive. By Wednesday, it was full speed ahead, with Cleveland prep in full swing. But it's not just about practice intensity. It's about decisions, personnel, schemes, play calls. Everything that worked against the Vikings has to be considered again, even if it seems obvious or even repetitive. Take the offensive line, for example. Against Minnesota, the Steelers didn't hide the fact that they needed help in the trenches. Darnell Washington was on the field as an extra blocker. So was Spencer Anderson. They went heavy. They simplified the game. They protected their quarterback and let the running backs work. Now, it might be tempting for the staff to say, hey, we proved we can do it. Let's take the training wheels off. But that's where things can go sideways. You don't prove anything by abandoning what worked. You prove it by doing it again and doing it better. No one wants to see Broderick Jones one-on-one against Myles Garrett. Not yet. Maybe not ever. You want to beat Cleveland? Then replicate what gave you success. Commit to it. Build on it. That includes the running game, where the presence of Jaylen Warren adds another layer. He didn't play in Ireland, and his ability to create yards after contact could elevate this offense to another level. If, and only if, the blocking remains consistent. Washington and Anderson, again, become critical in that formula. If they execute like they did overseas, Warren's impact could be huge. But let's not stop there. If there's one area where growth is still not just welcome but necessary, it's the passing game. And this is where it gets interesting. Against the Vikings, the playbook was cautious. Short throws, quick outs, sideways screens, everything designed to avoid disaster. And it worked. But that approach has a ceiling. At some point, if you want to contend, you have to push the ball downfield. You have to stretch the defense. And that starts with the quarterback being given the time and confidence to find deeper targets. Aaron Rodgers, for all the concerns early in the season, has shown flashes of the guy Steelers fans were hoping to see. But now it's time to unlock that next gear. With the added protection, with the running game doing its job, this is the moment to open it up. Not recklessly, but deliberately. Find Roman Wilson. Look for John Smith. Keep the defense honest. Make them think twice before crowding the box. If you keep playing scared, you're never going to evolve. This offense needs to grow, and that growth starts with a little bit of risk. On the flip side, the defense has its own mission, and it's a pretty simple one. Make Dillon Gabriel's life a nightmare. Cleveland's rookie quarterback has been a bright spot, no doubt. He's mobile, he's got decent poise, and he's clearly shown enough to give the Browns some hope. But he's also a third-round pick in his first real stretch of starts. You cannot let him get comfortable. Pressure him early. Hit him often. Force the mistakes. This is not the week to play conservative on defense. Let the front seven attack. Let the edge rushers go to work. Don't give Gabriel the breathing room to get into a rhythm. And while we're talking about Cleveland's offense, let's not forget Quinton Judkins. The rookie running back has quietly been one of their most consistent weapons. He ran for over 100 yards in London, averaging nearly 5 yards per carry, and that's been his average all season long. He's powerful, he's elusive, and he gets stronger as the game goes on. If the Steelers don't bring the same energy and gap discipline they had against the Vikings, Judkins could cause serious problems. But again, and this has been a theme all week, the answer isn't complicated. Run it back. Do what worked. Trust the formula. The Steelers stopped a hot offense in Dublin by winning at the line of scrimmage, by forcing early third downs, and by making the quarterback beat them under pressure. Do it again. You don't need to reinvent anything. Just execute. One of the biggest questions heading into Sunday is how the Steelers will approach their offensive personnel, particularly with the wide receiver situation still very much in flux. Calvin Austin is out, and with that, a clear void opens up in the rotation. Naturally, fans have started asking about John Smith, a player who seems to be built for this exact kind of opportunity. The guy is a first-down machine. He's one of the best in the league at picking up yards after the catch. And he's done it from every alignment imaginable, in the slot, out wide, even out of the backfield. So why isn't he on the field more? Some have suggested it's a matter of pecking order, that someone like Ben Skowronek is simply blocking his path due to his blocking ability. But that's not the real story. What's keeping John Smith off the field isn't another receiver. It's the Steelers' commitment to heavy blocking formations. Against the Vikings, the offensive success was built on deploying extra linemen and tight ends who could help protect the quarterback and support the run game. That's why Spencer Anderson and Darnell Washington saw the bulk of the action. That's why both John Smith and even Pat Freiermuth had limited snaps in Dublin, because this offense wasn't trying to spread it out and air it out. They were trying to control the trenches. And it worked. But now, with Austin unavailable and the Browns presenting a very different kind of defensive front, the opportunity to reintroduce Smith into the mix is real. Pittsburgh needs someone who can challenge defenses beyond the line of scrimmage. Someone who can stretch the middle of the field, keep safeties honest, and punish linebackers in space. That's exactly what John Smith does. And he doesn't need to be lined up out wide to do it. He can play from tight alignments, motion into the slot, or even run routes from the H-back position. He's that versatile, and he's got the build to make defensive coordinators sweat, a wide receiver's athleticism in a tight end's frame. So while the Steelers continue to experiment with guys like Skowronek, Scotty Miller, and Roman Wilson, the truth is Smith could be the one who actually transforms the passing game. He's got reliable hands. He knows how to find soft spots in zone coverage. And perhaps most importantly, he gives the offense an outlet that can keep drives alive and defenses on their heels. The Steelers need that, especially against a defense like Cleveland's, coached by Jim Schwartz, that loves to load the box and bring pressure. If you don't have someone who can beat them over the top or find the seams in their zone blitzes, you're going to get swallowed up. That brings us back to scheme, and specifically to the delicate balance between protecting the quarterback and giving him enough options to make plays. What worked in Dublin was safe, methodical, and grounded in the idea of reducing risk. But football is a game of adjustments. You can't keep doing the same thing and expect the opponent not to catch on. So the Steelers' coaching staff faces a decision. Do they continue leaning heavily on blocking personnel and short passes? Or do they start folding in some more aggressive concepts now that the offensive line is starting to gel and the run game is finding its rhythm? A hybrid approach seems like the logical next step. Keep Spencer Anderson in the rotation. Keep Darnell Washington in as a primary blocking tight end. But start mixing in John Smith as a flex option, someone who can line up off the line and give Rodgers that extra weapon downfield. And while we're at it, it's worth noting something interesting that came out of Mike Tomlin's recent comments. When discussing tight ends and matchups against 4-3 defenses, he pointedly mentioned Pat Freiermuth and Connor Hayward as being undersized for certain blocking roles. But he didn't mention John Smith. That might seem like a small omission, but it could be telling. Maybe Smith isn't being seen as a liability. Maybe he's viewed as something different entirely, a hybrid who doesn't quite fit the traditional tight end mold, but brings too much value as a receiver to keep sidelined. And that's where this gets really interesting. If the Steelers can successfully integrate Smith into the offense without losing the physical edge they established against the Vikings, they might just find themselves unlocking a new identity. One where they can still grind it out in the run game, still protect the quarterback with extra blockers, but also start forcing defenses to respect the pass in a meaningful way. That's what growth looks like. Not abandoning what worked, but building on it. And on the other side of the ball, growth means dominance. It means the defense doesn't just show up, it dictates terms. The Browns are bringing in a rookie quarterback, a talented but inexperienced runner, and a receiver core that hasn't exactly struck fear into anyone. This is the kind of game where the Steelers' defense should be foaming at the mouth. This is the kind of matchup where T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith should feast, where the interior linemen should collapse the pocket and force Dillon Gabriel into bad throws, where the linebackers should be flying around, clogging running lanes, and punishing anyone who dares come across the middle. Gabriel has been impressive in flashes, but he's still very much learning. The Steelers have a golden opportunity to make that learning curve brutal. Blitz early, blitz often, disguise coverages. Throw looks at him that he hasn't seen before. And most of all, don't let him settle. If you give a rookie quarterback time, he'll gain confidence. If you keep him under duress, he'll start second-guessing everything. And that's when the turnovers come. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Rumors are swirling in Pittsburgh as whispers from the Steelers camp suggest a major shakeup in the team's offensive lineup. While nothing has been officially announced beyond the headlines, sources close to the organization hint that Donovan Peoples-Jones could be the spark the Steelers desperately need to ignite their passing game. The buzz around this potential acquisition has fans and analysts alike speculating about the profound impact a player of Peoples-Jones' caliber could have on the Steel City squad. Peoples-Jones, known for his explosive speed and uncanny ability to create separation from defenders, has long been considered a dynamic weapon in the league. Observers note that his arrival could dramatically change the Steelers' offensive strategies, providing quarterback Kenny Pickett with a deep threat that stretches defenses and opens up the field for the running game. In a league where timing and chemistry are everything, the possibility of adding such a versatile playmaker has fueled a frenzy among the fan base, eager for a resurgence in Pittsburgh's aerial attack. Insiders claim that behind closed doors, Steelers coaches have been evaluating multiple ways to integrate Peoples-Jones into their offensive schemes. Whether lining him up on the outside or in the slot, the consensus is that his presence alone could elevate the performance of other receivers and tight ends, making the offense less predictable and more dangerous. Speculation runs high that his skill set would complement the team's existing stars, potentially creating one of the most balanced and explosive units in the AFC. The timing of the potential move adds another layer of intrigue. With the season approaching and roster decisions looming, a high-profile acquisition like Peoples-Jones could signal a renewed commitment from Pittsburgh's management to compete at the highest level. Fans are already buzzing on social media, dissecting highlight reels and imagining the big plays that could define the Steelers season. Analysts caution that while the rumor remains unconfirmed, the mere possibility of Peoples-Jones donning black and gold has created a palpable sense of excitement and expectation. Whether this rumor materializes into a formal signing remains to be seen, but one thing is certain. The Steelers' offensive outlook has suddenly become a hot topic of conversation. If Peoples-Jones does join the squad, it could mark a turning point for a team hungry for explosive plays, memorable moments, and a revitalized identity on the field. For now, Pittsburgh fans are left to dream, debate, and anticipate what could be one of the most electrifying developments in recent team history. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.